That's what I'm talking about. FlyQuest, they are gonna take it 2-0. And Immortals win a ridiculous series.
Well played to Team Liquid, a very clean win over CounterLogic Gaming.
Cloud9 up the backs of Contracts 2-0 over TSM.
The new Dignitas lineup seems pretty good on paper. A lot of teams have seemed good on paper and not worked out.
It's basically up to me to make sure I perform for this team to do well.
A triple for Lod, and Dignitas' North American bot lane will close it out in the end.
Welcome to day 3 of the North American League Championship Series Spring Split. The fans are fired up here in Los Angeles for another day of action. They braved what was some torrential downpours here in Los Angeles for us here in Southern California, but we've made it indoors. We're all safe and warm now to watch some League of Legends. Stixxay, Huhi, the rest of CLG entering the arena. Alex each taking photos with some fans, and of course, Wild Turtle prepares for his first match of the day. Belter and Dardoch setting up across the stage. That's going to be a pretty sweet matchup. Both of these teams still looking for their first win of the season. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson. Lending their expertise on the analyst desk today is Sam Kobe Hartman-Kensler and Mark Zimmerman. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Stupendous.
It's all right.
Stupendous.
I wouldn't go that far. It's terrible out. You have to walk between the parking lot and here, cover your head, not mess up the hair.
It's raining.
I'm a
We never get
pessimist,
rain in
whatever.
LA.
There it is. That's what I deal with on a daily basis, Kobe. All right, well, let's start off the day with a peek at how the teams are stacked up after our first 2 days of play. Up top, FlyQuest and Cloud9 are joined by Liquid, Immortals, and Dignitas. While Phoenix 1 concluded their weekend at the middle of the table, Echo Fox walks away from week 1 winless, leaving TSM, NB, and CLG still fighting for their first win of the split. Now we'll see how that changes after today's matches. We start the day with TSM versus Immortals, then Team Dignitas take on Cloud9 in the battle arena. Meanwhile, on NALCS 2, Envy prepares to face CounterLogic Gaming, and will conclude the day with Team Liquid versus FlyQuest. And rather tune in after the show for a recap of the weekend as Jat, Zyrene, and I discuss the weekend's events on NALCS tonight. Now, if you have any questions about the 2017 season, tweet them to @LollySports with the hashtag NALCS, and we'll answer a few during the show. But now it's time to talk about today, the pregame, what's about to happen. So let's focus in on the matches. We're only 2 days into the NALCS Spring Split, so we only have so much to look at. But we've seen some surprise performances already.
Yeah, I mean, the first one that stands out to me is Acadian. I mean, this guy, a lot of people are fans of him already just because they can relate to that feeling of, I got first blood or I won my lane, yet we still lost the game. He's doing really well. He got 5 or participated in getting 5 first bloods in just those first 2 days.
Right, but I mean, you have to talk about Contracts as well. He is the other kind of rookie jungler making a name for himself, and he hasn't had quite as many games to show as Acadian, who has been in 5 so far in the first weekend. All those first bloods is nice, but I think Contracts is doing great because he's being able to help the team out in the mid and late game situations as well, where like Acadian has looked a little shaky around those parts.
Contracts looks super good. The only thing left for me to see from him, obviously more games would...
yeah, obviously.
But, you know, playing the jungle from behind so different from, oh, my lanes are all doing super well, and he's doing a really good job of capitalizing, you know, on opportunities. But, you know, also playing around weaknesses will be the next thing we look for.
Right, and just the 2 games for Contracts so far, and he's going to be going up against Dignitas and Someday, who's the third person that I want to talk about here, who yesterday was able to play tanks and the carries in the likes of Fiora to a pretty stupendous degree.
Word of the day, I guess. Honestly, though, yeah, this guy, people were wondering, oh, is he overhyped, you know, coming from LCK and getting MVPs and stuff? No, he was not overhyped. It was definitely deserved. You talk about the versatility of playing both the tanks and the carries. Showed it in only, you know, a couple games already. So I think Someday definitely delivering.
Right, it's a great meta for a player who is good at both because you see a couple top-tier tank picks, a couple top-tier carry picks, and the fact that you can switch between those 2 styles so easily with a player like Someday's very good for your team, but we get to see it tested against Cloud9 and Impact, who's very, you know, very much the same way where he can play whatever his team needs.
Right, and unfortunately for one of these players' contracts and someday, as they're facing off against each other today, one of them's walking away with a loss. But let's go ahead and dive into that matchup because it's pretty hyped up now that they both started off 1-0.
Right, and Cloud9 already took down TSM in a pretty convincing fashion, and it's going to be if they can do the same to Dignitas. Obviously, TSM came in as one of the hyped up teams, and the way that Cloud9 beat them was surprising to an extent where we didn't think it was going to be a 2-0 that was pretty dominant, and we're going to see if they can continue to do that against the big, hot import team in Dignitas.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the next test, right? You talk about defeating the defending champions, and that's one of the reasons why Cloud9 are rated at the top of the table, plus all the scrim, talk that teams are talking about. But I think this is going to be a super interesting matchup, probably most look forward to of the day.
Right, that matchup comes later in the day. Earlier, we've got TSM versus Immortal, and just last split, this would have been a marquee matchup. This could have been a battle for first place, but both of these teams looking a little shaky in their week 1 performances so far.
And both those teams have had big changes, right? This is the huge contributor to that. Yes, Doublelift did step down for TSM, and it was only one member, but it was a huge key part because not only was he great at laning, also was a huge part of the shot calling, and we saw that in their game versus Cloud9, the lack of that, whereas Immortals lost almost the whole team.
Right, and it was such an identity that team had around the kind of reign over Huni story. And like Pobelter coming back, he was always more of a supplementary piece, and now this team needs to find their identity. And TSM's looking to take advantage of that today, where they're hopefully a little bit more synced up.
All right, Kobe, you mentioned with just the one player leaving and the only first sustained loss, a lot of people are already in panic mode about TSM. Is it time to panic yet, or is this a little unwarranted?
I mean, as we've been saying, we think Cloud9 is definitely top of the table team. So, and a lot of people project to actually be number 1. Mm-hmm. So, losing to that team, not time to quite, the sky not falling already. But if they also follow that up with a loss to Immortals, then you really start to have to worry because Immortals were already struggling versus Echo Fox in the first day. So yeah, if the trend does continue for TSM, then you got to get really worried and talk about alternatives. Double said it's a possibility he comes back from streaming early if they really need him. How early can you make that call?
Hey, come back to SoCal, we need you.
Yeah, well, we're about to find out how this day will start out, so it's going to be time to send it over to our casters to get the games underway.
Thank you very much, Dash. Greetings, everyone. I am Rivington Bisson III, here to bring you more league action, and joining me on today's cast is Isaac Azale, Cummings Bentley. It's great to be back. It's great to be casting with you, man.
I know. We were just talking about it. It's been so long since we actually cast together, since playoffs last year. So I'm excited.
All right. So hopefully it's not going to be super rusty, and hopefully we see these two teams pick up the pace. Coming up, we've got the 2 most dominant teams from last split with TSM versus Immortals. And last season, this matchup, as Dash was saying, would have been considered a clash of titans. But this weekend has already shown that their spots are very much up for grabs.
Yeah, and it's not that they can't compete, but TSM was the undisputed best team last split, and we predicted they could have some growing pains with the roster swaps, but Friday we saw some lackluster performances where we didn't expect to see it. Bjergsen, Sven Skjern, these guys were smashing at Worlds, and then they come in and they did not have great games. So, I want to keep my eyes on them, and Bjergsen specifically, to bounce back strong and really show some great games today.
Yep. Meanwhile, Immortals found their way back in a close series where, to be fair, IMT did give up sizable leads early and forced themselves to capitalize on their opponent's mistakes to take them to victory, which is always a very scary road to take to victory.
Especially against players like Bjergsen, right? So, I mean, Immortals, they won off the back of great individual play in the late game. Flame specifically, he was a split push threat and became huge later in the game. And Dardoch on the Kazakhs was massive, getting so many picks, ended like 10-2. So he was huge too. Immortals coordination, though, has not really been put to the test just yet because they were playing against Echo Fox, and Dardoch talked about how they have a lot of room to grow, and they want to see where they can go from here and how they're going to stack up against this version of TSM.
We even heard Pobelter in the huddle after the game yesterday saying, we know that game was kind of shaky, but we can only go up from here, and that's what's going to happen. And I think as Pobelter tries to be that key force in the mid for them now this time around, they'll be listening to him, and they might make those results. Going into this match, IMT mid laner Pobelter talked about how he looks forward to facing his former teammates this season.
I guess I'm just pretty excited to play against all my former teammates from last year. We all split up on different teams. So Turtle's on TSM now, Adrian's on P1, and Rainover's on Liquid. So I want to make sure I do really well against those teams. Yeah, and then we're going to go to MSI and beat Huni on SKT.
Well,
We're on Pope Watch, man. We got to see him taking them down one at a time.
We'll see if he can bring it up with the team gearing up as well. On blue side, it is going to be, however, TSM. That means in the top lane, it is Haunter. Coming out of the jungle is Sven Skaren. Representing the mid lane, Bjergsen. At bot is Wild Turtle with his support, Biofrost, and Coach Park for picks and bans.
And their opponents today on the red side, it's Immortals. In the top lane, Flame. In the jungle, Dardoch. Mid lane, Pobelter. Bot lane, Cody Sun. Support, Ole. Coach Hermes here to help him pick a ban.
I'm excited to see what happens coming out of this match. Already, Pobelter staying true to what he does each season in the beginning. 3 different champions in those games, or continues to play different champions throughout these picks and bans. So already going to see that champion pool. Harder to ban him out. They might start focusing other players on the team.
Yeah, and I really am loving the evolution of pick and ban. You know, traditionally people have been kind of trying to match picks in the first 3 so they can't get pinched out, but we've seen already some teams stray away from that because they have players who can play everything, and it's okay. You know, if you can play every champion, it doesn't matter if you have 5 bans against you. Impact showed that against TSM on Friday. We'll see if anyone wants to show that here today.
We fly into picks and bans. We will see what phase 1 has for us. The first 3 for each team. 30 seconds aside.
Yeah, and in red side, the super standard so far has been LeBlanc, Camille, Rengar, take them off the table. But you can go other ways. You can leave these power picks up, force your opponents to ban or trade for them. And I really do like that strategy a lot more. So we're going to see if Immortals is going to be willing to kind of make those adaptations.
Someday in Flame making their name known on that Fiora from yesterday.
Yeah, man.
None of those are going to get it again.
Yeah, Someday got banned out twice on it. He got it once, crushed on it. Flame was doing work as well. I mean, especially in this tank meta, this is a guy that if you let Fiora scale, if you let them split push, they will dominate you in late.
Camille, expected on Immortals side. Zyra will be banned out from Olay. And the final ban out from Immortals here before we get our picks.
Definitely expecting Rengar at this point, unless they feel that TSM is going to prioritize Maokai so heavily that they can make that trade. Most people are not putting Maokai at that same tier, so they are banning out the Rengar pretty much every time. But you can say, hey, you know what? Maokai is just as good. We'll trade for one of those.
Yeah. Very true. It is going to be the Rengar that gets knocked out, and Ashe is the first pickup. A lot of teams have been prioritizing that, and it's no stranger to TSM.
Yeah, it's all about utility AD carries. It's the name of the game right now. Varus, Ashe, Jhin, those are kind of the big 3 right now. And AD is one of the roles that can really get pinched out into something different. We've seen people have success on different types of AD carries, like Piglet, hard carrying on Twitch in the late game. So there are other options, but I would not be surprised to see Immortals want to pick up their bot lane player early on here.
Should know where AD carries go to that. A lot of discussion going on for that first pick, but they were able to grab the Malzahar. No worries. They have the 30 seconds for the next one, so this should be pretty easy. I think you're right with that bot lane coming in here. Might not be too difficult versus the Ashe, but they actually go for Ryze in the mid lane.
Yeah, so grabbing Ryze for the Pobelter, I think that Malzahar, great support, especially Zyra already off the table from TSM. That's one of the kind of the natural counters. There are other things you can do to deal with it, but I think Zyra is best. So that support is already gone. Immortals going to grab tier 1 support, and they still do have their 3rd pick if they want to take the AD carry, because they know TSM has already drafted their AD carry in this round. You may as well leave it till that 3rd pick and try to steal away a mid laner from Bjergsen.
I was going to say, Bjergsen may want to pick that here. Doesn't let that go any farther. Usually we see those fall a little bit more down into the second ban phase, but it is going to be that Ryze versus the Cassiopeia. Next pick for Bjergsen. We'll see what he gets.
Yeah, I mean, Cassiopeia, definitely a very good matchup against the Ryze, so Bjergsen is going to be happy about this. It's not that it's like a hard counter or something, but it is advantageous in the laning phase. Obviously, we've seen Ryze have a lot of success moving around the map, doing a lot of things like that. Ryu, notably yesterday, made great work on the Ryze, being able to rotate around the map, using that ult to catch people out, and can be very strong. Now the question is, there's been divergence, right? Do you go for your jungler here or risk getting Dardoch banned all the way down, or do you take your AD carry and risk Cody Sun getting banned all the way down? So they must make a choice now here. And if they go for Varus, then they're saying, you know what, Dardoch has a deeper champion pool.
It feels
he can
more
handle it.
Exactly. They allow Cody Sun to play a little bit more comfortable of a champion. They have Varus, Ashe, so his 2 Varus and an Ashe yesterday for his game. So feeling pretty good coming into another day on that champion. And we go and do our next ban phase.
Yeah, and this is really where the adaptation comes. This is where you try to screw up your opponent's picks and bans, right? And for Immortals, they could target supports. If they say, hey, you know what, we want to push you down further in the tiers of supports, I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But so far, they are going to be looking to target Haunter in the top lane. TSM, I am expecting them to bring out jungle bans unless they want to kind of diverge from what has been the most common strategy. Since Dardoch is not selected as champion yet, you already have the Kazakhs. You can start to take those champions off the table.
See as well that Poppy from Haunter really put his name on the table last year for being able to do work in TSM's top lane. Still, that Maokai has gone through. The Nautilus has gone through as we see those top and jungle bans.
You almost have to feel like with the Poppy ban, Immortals was committing to a Maokai ban as well. Otherwise, I'm going to be pretty confused about it. And the order doesn't matter as long as you also ban out the Maokai, but that is kind of the agreed upon S tier top lane tank. So if you're going to leave that open, it would be strange to have committed a ban. Oh, and they actually, I think they missed their ban.
It did look like he was a bit distraught there at the end of the timer going down. 30 seconds catching people off guard.
Yeah, that's actually really bad. If that is the case, we'll have to see.
It says picking, yeah. Rek'Sai was banned out. It was Dardoch that gets focused there. Like we said, he may feel more comfortable having that. And we've seen a bunch of other junglers being used around in the regions. We'll see what he can whittle on down to.
Well,
but yeah, that's very, very interesting here for Immortals. This ban phase already catching people off guard.
Oh, wow. This is actually really interesting. I think it was actually an intentionally skipped. Is it? I don't know. That doesn't make sense. You still want to ban out Nautilus or something, but they're going to take the Maokai. I'm not sure if this was an adaptation or a mistake or what it was. A little bit confusing, but they are going to grab Maokai. They could have still banned Nautilus so Haunter wouldn't have any of those tanks and then taken the Maokai themselves if they wanted to go for that. But they are going to grab it.
From production that was a misban.
Yeah, so it was a misban. So I think they actually did not want Haunter to have this Nautilus.
So the Olaf actually gets through. You got to be happy about that. We've been seeing him on the ban list, but it was thought to be that jungle. Was he going to go in the jungle? Where's he going to go? I guess he does. He doesn't go to the top lane this time.
Yeah, and Nautilus, Olaf is obviously traditionally a jungler.
For sure,
but
and you have them out.
Recently, you have been seeing it a lot more in the top lane. It actually has very strong early levels. It can be pretty powerful. Have been seeing people like Impact specifically playing it a lot in solo queue. It's something that he likes to play, and it is a champion that people have been banning for top lane. But either way, we're going to see how Immortals is going to do. They have a very strong draft, I think, on both sides. Hopefully, for Immortals' sake, that Nautilus does not really become a big problem.
Both teams coming out with something that can fight a little early into the mid game, as well as have some great fights late. That's what we've been seeing throughout these games. Usually, Summoner's Rift slowed down around 20 minutes when you knew the other team had a lead. We've been seeing games, consistent fighting, consistent pressure from teams now, almost up to 30 minutes. Much more action. Teams are pressuring each other, testing their skill much more. And now we have to see if the communication and that skill comes together for both of these teams. TSM and Immortals having a bit of a dark start here in the LCS through the spring split, but it can all change. As we say, there is a long split to go.
Yeah, and Immortals, they had a bit of a shaky series, but they did get the win on the board. So
that's true.
If they beat TSM here today, they're starting off 2-0. It's all rainbows and sunshine. And
there it is.
TSM, obviously, they're looking to battle back, and I think they have set themselves up well to do so because I like the mid lane matchup for Bjergsen, Sven Skaren. I think that, being on Kazakhs, that is kind of a higher tier jungler than Dardoch has. So the mid lane jungle synergy should kind of lend itself to that. They have more powerful early picks for both Sven and Bjergsen.
And looking at that, kind of as these junglers get pushed down, we didn't see Erlof too much recently. You see it a little bit. Does he kind of have to do anything different? Is Dardoch going to have to try to shut down Sven Skaren with this S-tier Kazakhs pick, or does he just play it normal?
I think he can play it pretty standard.
Okay.
Olaf definitely is a very strong pick, and the early levels are very strong for it as well. You have the options. One of the problems for the Olaf is honestly mana in the early game. You really can kind of run out of mana on your clears, and that can make it a little bit more tough, whereas Kazakhs kind of has a bit more flexibility to stay out on the map longer in some of these early game scenarios.
Storm Raiders for both Cass and that Rise, so Bjergsen and Pobalt with the extra movement speed as usual. Be interesting to see how much they go at it toe-to-toe. We've seen actually quite a few not level 1s, but auto attacks that get the ghost out of both mid laners very early on in these games.
Yeah.
Trying to get that edge really will now give your jungler that lead, that help. Sponsor dances it out for us, starting this one off.
One little interesting kind of change there for Dardoch is he's going to be playing Fervor. And while Fervor is not strange by any means, some people actually have been electing to go for Storm Raider Surge even on the Olaf, because you can kind of proc that with your base stats early on. Dardoch also doing an interesting start here. He's not getting leashed whatsoever, so Flame is going to be able to kind of hopefully set up the minions for him and get some sort of an advantage from Haunter coming late. Yep. Because Dardoch, you don't mind getting low HP on the Olaf, you get increased attack speed, you're able to clear very fast at that low HP, but there always is the risk of Svenskeren invading and catching you at low health.
Yeah.
You do have to kind of weigh that back and forth. You know, do you use your potions early and have a slower clear, or do you risk getting caught and kind of killed out?
Yeah. See, they're going to end up on opposite sides to start, so they may not see each other. Looks like they'll take the paths, getting pinged. And a little push back. Good trade here in the bot lane as they're coming up on level 2, but didn't even yet as they have to back off from the damage.
Yeah, and you can see Flame, because of that leash that they did, he gets early level 2, he pushes his opponent in, and he's hoping that Haunter is going to miss some of the CS under the turret. That's really what he is trying to do. He's trying to force it in, allow it to reset. Remember, Dardoch started bot side, so Flame can make the wave bounce and then kind of hold it around the middle of the lane or towards his turret.
Right.
Could set up an easy gank for Dardoch. So
absolutely.
A lot of thought going into this early game as far as the jungle pathing, as far as Flame getting the early shove. So this is really well thought through, and we'll see if it does pay dividends or if TSM is kind of on the ball, if they're like, hey, this is probably what's going on.
I wonder as well, with IMT setting up their wards, if Pobelter's kind of trying to make Bjergsen think that he may be covered by bottom side jungle or top. Dardoch is pretty much unknown right now, but yeah, I think so is Svenskeren.
And that's one of the advantages of not giving a leash, right? You don't know where the jungler actually is. It's not given away that the bot lane shows up late or the top lane shows up late. No one was really missing, so you know their guess is just that. It's just an educated guess of saying, hey, where would it make sense if he started? And you can see Svenskeren is kind of trying to be careful about that. He's trying to grab the scuttle and probably drop a ward over here to cover his laner.
Popped up right quick, sees Haunter at about half HP.
Oh, this could be good for Immortals.
The timing is here. Perfect. I don't know if Dardoch's going to be able to make it in time with the vision. He was brought in. It was a little too far out, but the damage he brings is definitely something to be worried about. Svenskeren pulls away from that, and had that been a few seconds later, much more in IMT's favor.
Yeah, and
even though it is
was so much higher on health there, he wanted that fight, so he wanted them to go in on him. Dardoch, if he'd even been there, you know, a split second earlier, could have been a disaster for TSM. But still, intelligent pathing, intelligent game plan from Immortals gets them the flash from Haunter. And Flame bases, he's going to TP immediately back with a double kind of early item buy and try to get the shove. So he's going to try to keep the ball rolling here, and perhaps even look for a dive on Haunter. Oh, they stopped the base. They're going to go for a dive. They're going to try.
They're actually looking to get a dive on him at 4:30. Quite early in this one. They're going to push this minion wave in.
Yeah, Maokai needs to push, and Maokai needs to start the dive, then use his W to drop it. They're going to see if they can do it.
Shield up. There's one. Gets courage, but he still goes down.
Will he get out?
Immortals coming up very huge on this one.
I am so impressed by Immortals' early game. This was all planned out. Very, very smart. Then the fact that they get the flash, they change up the game plan. They blow the TP immediately to be able to get this. They know that Svenskeren was chunked out. He was going to base. Immortals' intelligent game plan, massive advantage in the early game for the top side.
And it seems to be working out, but see the replay right here one more time. This is like old TSM, what they used to do to teams. They dance around you at the top side and say, guess what? You're going to go down no matter what.
Yeah, and that was just so well done. So first blood over to Dardoch. Flame had almost double the CS of Haunter there. You know, at the time of his death, obviously Haunter going to be able to pick this up, but will close out as Flame gets back to lane. Still very, very good start for the team.
Yep, and thinking back to the pick ban phase, we're going to throw it down to chat to get some quick insight on how it went for Immortals.
Hey, thanks, Riv. I did get a chance to catch up with Hermes, Immortals coach, after the pick ban phase. About the missed ban, I asked him. He said they're still having some translation issues with Ollie, and he did miss that ban. They meant it to be Nautilus. I asked him how he felt about that, though. He said it's still okay because they have the Maokai. As far as how he felt about the overall draft, he thinks as long as they can control side lane pressure early, they should be strong in the 5v5 team fight. So with that early start, could be good for Immortals. Send it back to you guys.
And that is as we expected, that it would be that Nautilus, but either way, they got the Maokai. It's working out so far. You know, and they have, as far as the side lanes go, top lane heavily in their advantage. But bot lane is looking incredible for TSM, and so is the mid lane. I mean, you can check out the advantage that Wild Turtle and Biofrost have already carved out. That's a big CS lead for this early Riv.
Very, very big. Great knowledge from chat coming from Hermes there. And now Bjergsen getting caught in the mid lane. Flash is over. Looks like he could be safe here. Ragnarok is on. One more undertow is going to bring him in range. Oh, he turns it as the Ragnarok wears off. Nicely done. It wouldn't have mattered, but still cheeky.
Very well played from both sides. Bjergsen waits out Ragnarok, but Dardoch one step ahead, anticipates it. Quick little turn there, and Dardoch is turning up the heat in this game. Great start on the top side, and now he's heading bot lane. He's already affected the other 2 lanes.
So he tried to get through the relic there, or the shrine, I should say, getting a little more speed, but there's no vision of TSM. We'll see this in the mid lane again, so Dardoch had already just kind of come through the river, and it was pretty much done from there.
Yeah, I mean, Dardoch, with the early start, he's already 6. Pobelter is not, but that Rune Prison onto Bjergsen, look at that sidestep there, flips it around, and Svenskeren cannot get there in time. Bjergsen, you know, retrospect, maybe he should have just tried to use that ult immediately onto Ryze, stop some of Pobelter's damage. That could have allowed him perhaps to get out, but it's a tough call to make. And, you know, Pobelter was trying to flip around and avoid that ult too.
Incredibly, I was going to say incredibly fast, but a fast 6 for Dardoch there, catching everyone off guard and cannot be stopped by Bjergsen right away. Svenskeren still looking to hit that level 6. He should as he gets over to his red here. And the blue is handed off to Pobelter.
Yeah, it is a very fast 6, and the early Lucidity boots always great on Olaf because you have that super short Ghost cooldown. Ghost already lower cooldown than Flash, then you get Insight, that reduces it even further. Then you have these, which reduce it even that much further. So you can use that Ghost kind of whenever you want.
Hit onto Ollie, so he can't lock anybody up. Pobelter tries to come in and deter the fight. Dardoch ready to go once again. He gets melted immediately as Svenskeren turns it around. He gets himself back in this game. That's the buff going over as well. Refresh for Svenskeren on the bus and 2 kills for the team.
Yeah, huge turnaround there for TSM. Dardoch was feeling strong, but he had not really purchased any tank stats yet. So the Lucidity, great, your Ghost is up. You're not able to be stunned, but he just gets burst down, zeroed out by the Kazakhs and that Cassiopeia. And TSM battles right back. That puts them ahead.
They said these games continue to go. They pressure each other. Bjergsen just went down. They're ready to fight again.
Yeah, exactly. And as Pobelter gets zoned out completely, as Svenskeren gets back in there, you can see the isolated Kazakhs damage. But this was so well played by the jungle support duo from TSM. Svenskeren and Biofrost zone out Pobelter, stop that damage threat. Then they all converge, focus down Dardoch. Really just very well played skirmish from TSM.
And a quick play like that, look now 7 for Svenskeren over Dardoch 6. He just got that 6 and hit another level. Feeling really good on that after Dardoch had his dodge, which definitely gave him a bit of confidence. May have been kind of taken away there. Coming up on 10 minutes, 2-2 as these teams are really duking it out. Top lane already saw some action for the junglers. May see a little bit more right now.
Yeah. Some interesting purchase here as well. Turtle with very early Swifty boots. Not something you would see, but Immortals looking to set up a 3-man dive. Svenskeren is here though.
Turret or no turret, it looks like they're going. Arrow just misses on the left side. Everybody is out of the turret range for now. They're going to be able to take down Pobelter. Svenskeren flashes in to try to get the slows. The attacks, the red buff procs. They're going to have to turn for Dardoch. Dardoch gets his bust back, but I don't think it'll happen for very long. Undertow hits, and nobody's going to get these ones. No, it's the hit on Turtle. He may live. Turtle flashes forward to clean it up, and the buffs keep going.
Oh, and it was a 3-for-2 dive. 3-for-2 kills in the end as Turtle was able to get up there, but Svenskeren smelled this out. And a great response from him. Now 4-1-1 on the Kazakhs.
Oh my God.
It was Dardoch with the early start, but it's Svenskeren battling back and keeping his team in the game.
Definitely the Svenskeren we saw coming out at Worlds. Let's see this hit up on top once again.
Look at Sven. He's already waiting for Pobelter, gets the early isolated damage, dodging in and out with his ultimate, and then he hops in, gets the XQ onto Pobelter. They flash forward there. A bit of a mistake from Sven. He could have played it more slowly and maybe saved their lives. Dardoch intelligently pops Ragnarok, still high on HP, able to turn around, pick up a couple kills to avoid it being a complete tragedy for them. But Turtle ends with the double buffs, gets that shutdown kill. Things looking good for TSM. Still very close game.
Bjergsen leaving lane for just a moment. He was going to try to do a sight ward clear. And Turtle now returns to lane. Back actually for Cody, Sun, and Ale. It seems like they've been a little, not disjointed, but haven't been able to fight in bot for too long here as clear back, clear back. we'll see what action comes from them when we actually get them in the ults. We saw a little bit from Biofrost. He did his roam mid, 2 assists for him so far. So the bot lane actually doing a little bit better as well for TSM this game.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that at least Immortals got out of that is that Turtle went top lane, so they got a lot of bottom lane turret damage because they were down a lot of CS, they were down in pressure. The fact that Turtle left lane kind of gave Cody-san and Olay a bit of a reprieve there. So we'll see if they can kind of push up and finish that off. I know that Dardoch would love to go bot lane, love to get a kill and get that first tower, because that would be a big injection of gold.
Haunter pretty much knew. He's like, you're not doing anything. No one's up here. We both have vision. You're not big. We out. Little roam bot. Bjergsen's already making his way down slowly. Seems like Polebelter's thinking about it. He's hovering around his turret. Doesn't know if he's going to get ganked right as he heads into the jungle or not. He stays, the lane resets, and it's going to call Bjergsen back.
And Dardoch is wasting a fair bit of time here because TSM actually spotted him on that ward. The pink ward that Immortals has in try did not spot it, but there they're going.
Nether grabs, lock him down, exhaust as well, and that is going to be Dardoch face tanking the Ash Arrow. Undertow onto Biofrost. A few more hits as Svenskeren is here to try and deter them from the fight, but he may just become part of it. Dardoch backs off once again and finds himself a few more.
I actually can't believe that TSM died to that, having spotted Dardoch on the ward. But they stay around. They overestimate their ability to escape that gank. And Olay with the flash ulti, they set that up easy peasy because Wild Turtle didn't have his flash. He used that top lane. So huge capitalize there from Immortals. TSM knew that Dardoch was around. They don't respect it. In he goes with the Ragnarok. Easy kill onto Turtle. Easy double onto Biofrost. And the first turret. Once again, a big swing in the game.
The Jinx, just as I said, doing much better in that bot lane. They get hit up with the arrows, or not arrows, I should say.
I'm like, they're fine. They know he's there. They can't die to him, Rib.
Everything. See if they can come back. Playing in a very dangerous lane. Now, without that turret there, Turtle's going to push up a little bit more and try to keep himself safe. Biofrost now on the full roam as he tries to help out Bjergsen, give a little more resource to the mid lane, and see what they can do against Polebelter here. 126 to 110. Not too big of a disparity there for Polebelter. And both aren't getting the items they need.
Yeah, Polebelter's doing fine in what should be slightly a Cassiopeia favored matchup. Immortals ahead in the top lane, TSM kind of ahead in the middle lane as far as CS goes. But obviously, with these turrets going the way of Immortals, they really are getting a big influx of gold.
Just like TSM, not a few steps behind, going with their own plan right now. They realize they're losing top, losing bottom. They're just going to focus their power here so they don't lose people trying to defend these turrets.
Yeah, and they could try to go for a dragon here, but if Immortals decides to continue to push towards the tier 2, they may need to send more people to respond. Looks like Immortals will back off, so far it's a trade of turrets. Svenskeren grabs that blue buff over. He's going to do a little bit of counter jungling, and we'll see if he does actually decide to make a move towards that dragon.
So now this game actually Levin's second level of ultimates became explosive, but what does this fight look like? Kind of what's the optimal fight for either team? Because both kind of just want to go, right?
Yeah, they certainly do, and I think that really we're going to see TSM looking for picks with the Nautilus catching people out, with the Ash Arrows catching people out, and assassinations from the Kazakhs. They're looking more for picks, and I think that Immortals is more just a run at you straight front to back toward a sort of team composition.
Slowly walk towards you as you're slowed. Can't do much. Riptide is out. It's only going to slow him so much. Polebelter comes around. He starts picking up a few more. And Immortals is able to catch one out for themselves, actually.
They certainly are. And Immortals has such a good Juggernaut comp with, with the Maokai in the front line, with Dardoch on this Olaf, double tank front line, Ryze charging in, able to really kind of beat in the fights on that mage. And then you have a fair bit of backline damage being added in from their bot lane. So definitely two very good comps. I think that Immortals has the easier to execute team composition.
Less scary as well. You think about the Ash Arrow coming in, Dardoch can be in the front to kind of take that.
Exactly. If it hits the
well.
Maokai or Dardoch, he can ult out of it. And if the Maokai gets hit, he doesn't usually care unless it's an odd number fight and you can kind of take him out quick.
A little more room to say oops on the side of Immortals here with an engage. 2,000 gold lead here in favor of Immortals. Still anything can happen in this game. And it's just ward clearing time. Is it maybe time for a Drake? Maybe Immortals feel they are strong enough to pressure a fight just for the Drake in general.
Yeah, they certainly could look for that. And so far, it's really been a duel of the junglers. And these are two of the very best junglers that the NALCS has to offer. Dardoch really up and coming. Obviously, he is already established, but this guy is very young, only been around for a little while, and he has been crushing. And Svenskeren has proven himself as a world-class jungler. You know, he was dominating at Worlds, even though TSM did not get the results they wanted. He really showed up big time.
Looks like they will blast themselves over. Dardock's going to pick up Dragon with them. And you're absolutely right. Seeing Svenskeren, what he did on Lee Sin, seeing a jungler actually do that at that caliber of play and almost carry the entire team through an early game is huge. And now he looks for that again. Dardock as well, playing good. Kind of 3 or 4 champions down in his pool, depending on how many of those bans really matter to him. But this Olaf is not doing too bad, so.
No, he's doing great. And you know, one of the things about Olaf, I will say, and it's similar with Kha'Zix too, is that both these champions do kind of fall off towards the later stages of the game. At least Kha'Zix, you know, damage-wise does not fall off, but it becomes very difficult to teamfight on a full damage assassin. If you jump in and you get ulted by the Malzahar or rooted up by the Maokai, you can get taken out if you're not going to build tank. And for the Olaf, since you are building full tank, most of your damage is because of your base damages. It's not the AD that you're building and things like this. So your damage really starts to fall off as you get late into the game. Obviously, that's a far ways off. But these two junglers are definitely at strong points for them in the game with these early kills and their champions.
A little love for Pobelter. Knows he's safe due to vision as the team looks to grab mid. They're trying to spread TSM a little thin here. They've got Wild Turtle in the top lane, but still not enough pressure with Bjergsen and Biofrost there to clear waves.
I would love to see TSM try to look for more of these Ashe ults, try to throw some of these arrows out, try to catch people out, because I do think that that is really a big part of the strength of this champion and of their composition. And I just love seeing people fish for the arrows. Even if you miss, it's not that long of a cooldown. You can force summoners. Sometimes you get kills. And that's something that you need to kind of play to. You need to play to your strengths.
And they have to look to get wards forward. The last few minutes have been all Immortals in the river and just on their side of the map. You can see they have 2 up by the Rift Herald. So at this point, they really can't see anybody to hit an arrow unless they're at that mid turret. It's going to be difficult. Biding their time, not in too bad of a spot. They just don't want to walk out alone and get killed. That causes more problems. But you can see Immortals more than comfortable to get their semi-deep wards in, 1 by 1.
Yeah, and you can see Bjergsen paying a lot of respect to the crowd control from this opposing team, picking up the early Quicksilver Sash. You know, if you get Rune Prison, if you get locked down by that Rise, that can be all it takes to go down right away. So he would love to build for more damage, but I think this is an intelligent buy early on, and it's going to keep him safe, which is going to allow him to keep pumping out the damage in the fights and probably have more effectiveness overall.
I'm actually really impressed by what Immortals has done to TSM's vision here. They continue to back up. And they actually just cleared out one of the last wards they had that was in the river.
If you look across the map, there's no TSM wards on the Immortal side. None at all.
Sven locked up. Nothing to come of that, though. They are still respecting TSM's pressure. That is not something to be toyed with.
This is actually really interesting. So Sven is going to go for the early W upgrade. That's usually what you get at level 16. His second evolve was for that evolved W.
Yeah, good eye.
And this is something that I think does kind of bridge the gap in that team fighting. So it's hard to really jump in and have that big effectiveness, but evolving that W gives you increased poke, it gives you a massive slow on isolated targets, and it makes it easier to participate in team fights and sieging, as well as wave clear without fully committing yourself to the fight.
All right. Seems like Flame is done with top for now. He says, I will come and help mid for just a moment. Good push. There's the arrow we've been looking for. They have the vision to continue this one. TSM has all of Immortals stuck in mid lane right now. And there's the Ragnarok that comes out. I was wondering when the disengage would come through. Immortals did not find a way back in.
And this is nice for TSM because they have now gotten the ultimate from Dardock, ultimate down from Flame. You know, those guys are going to be a lot less tanky, and they can look to try to push out top lane or look around the map to try to get something done at this point.
Well, they held off very nicely for that time. They still have their mid turret as well. Turtle's going to wait for the minions. He may actually be calling for a little bit of help as he sees a few people coming towards him. And Immortals kind of reserves themselves now. Clear out the jungle. You don't need to pressure too much. That one fizzled out.
Yeah. Both these top laners really kind of have been holding back on their TPs, and we haven't seen anyone really pulling the trigger on these TP flanks, on going for that. And it does show that both teams are pretty confident in kind of just playing it slow and waiting for the right opportunities. No one's feeling like they're really under pressure to make a play just yet.
TSM was always a team that could pull out that 40, 45-minute ridiculous fight, come out on top with Bjergsen or somebody initiating very well. Not sure if that's going to be a Casio. That'll have to kind of be off Immortals' mistake in an engage, but
certainly can be
potential's
sometimes.
there.
If people get too far forward, that Casio can look for the ult flash. You stun up a couple people, that can be lights out for a team fight. And that is kind of the fine line you walk in competitive play. You can't be too safe. You can't be too bold. You kind of have to walk this dagger's edge, right? You know, we saw Dignitas playing yesterday where they lost the game, where they were massively ahead for so long because they wouldn't commit to taking a Baron, a risky Baron. They were too risk averse. And at the same time, if you go for it too early, if you take it too much of a risk, you get punished for that and lose the game that way too.
Wild Turtle's a good one to look at that. Do you rocket jump forward into the face?
Always, Riv.
Or rocket jump backwards? Both have happened. He sees both sides of the story. Things have slowed down in the way of kills here, as both teams powering up have to give each other space. It seems like they're getting a little too measured for their own good. They're not really going to be able to realize what happens in the next fight. I feel like that's somebody getting blown up quite a bit. Lost. 1-2. Who's going to be taken down? Svenskeren goes in, but the team surrounds Cody-san, so he actually can't get the spike damage on him. And Svenskeren attacks somebody else. Cody stays pretty healthy. Haunter goes in. Dardoch gets knocked up. He's just trying to stop the re-engage. The tanks kind of tickle each other, and we back out once again.
We do back out. That's the flash traded for Svenskeren and Pobelter. Pobelter actually missed the last Q there. Bjergsen was trying to come in and body block, but that's what we're talking about, how it gets very hard to team fight on this Kha'Zix. You jump forward, immediate Malzahar from Ole. He also still had the exhaust, wasn't even worried about the assassination kill, so it gets tough to make those calls, and that one he does survive, but not able to come away with a kill.
Oh, that's a few minutes here. Wait for the arrow, then a few, then they fire it. So at least we have a good pace for when the fights are going to be coming, besides some dragons gated by Barons and Rift Heralds. This is good.
You can see the difference in builds from the 80 carries are going to kind of change that around as well, as Haunter may get ran down here. Does have his flash, but I don't know if he's going anywhere.
Flames on the top side. He's only going to hold towards mid. Pings are coming out. It looks like Bjergsen actually wants to fight in the river here as Haunter's getting taken down in the mid lane. Flashes, stays alive, but they look ready to take him down. The shield is not enough to stop that. This fight in the mid lane has got Svenskeren low once again. He just came back from getting himself healthy. The arrow to Cody-san. Oh, Ale leaves Cody-san out to dry for a quick second. And now it's going to be Ale too because he stayed. Oh, kills all over the map, but it's a triple for Wild Turtle.
Turtle with the huge triple as Ole leaves Cody-san out to dry. That's not how you support Riv. And TSM are going to turn right to the Baron. You can rush this down very quickly if you want to. You know, having Cassiopeia, but they're not going to elect to go for it. They are just going to establish vision.
A little scattered. They wanted Ole, then they went for Flame, stuck with Flame, and it continues.
Flame was just so tanky here. He's able to absorb enough of the damage, kind of reconvene with his team, then they get the turnaround on Svenskeren. There it is. The anti-support play from Ole is Cody-san goes down. Ole's going to go down as well right after. Triple for Turtle, and TSM claims vision around the Baron, and they can always threaten that. They didn't decide to go for it there, didn't have anyone tank it up, but Kha'Zix Casio kill Baron ridiculously fast, even without a Mountain Dragon. So it's something that they always can threaten, and Immortals always has to worry about.
It's gotta go fast game. Third Cloud Drake ready to spawn. That'd be great for Dardoch and Pobelter. Wow. They will be flying around the map. It's very hard to get away from those undertows and rune prisons. Cody-san, Ole back together. He's staying far away from Ole.
Yeah, the Cloud Drake. You're not my sport anymore.
Oh no, that's why! Ooh! TSM is waiting. As Syndra Elise used to be the brush they're in behind red. Now I guess it's the Kha'Zix Cass and the rest of the team in the mid brush. They're just changing things up.
Yeah, and they just want to shove down mid right away. They know Pobelter was not there, and TSM is going to look to posture very aggressively here.
There's a lockdown. Flame wants it. Haunter's in. Depth charge back to Pobelter to stop his damage. Also went through Flame for a little bit of help. Once they realize the tanks aren't taking any damage and nobody's reached the back line, again, we back off.
Yeah, and with Pobelter coming in there and the CC on Haunter under the turret, you do not want that fight anymore. Yep. So they threaten the dive, doesn't work out, but they walk away without having to blow anything major, so not a big deal there for TSM, and it was worth a try, because if Pobelter's out of position, you get those kills probably.
Few ultimates should be back up next time. Like you said, flashes, nothing was really used in that fight, and they should actually be up soon as well. Only 26 minutes into this one. Seems like it's actually been longer. but not a lot has been broken down. Mid's finally getting taken down here for the side of TSM in favor of Immortals, but the second-tier turrets standing pretty strong around the map.
They certainly have been, and to kind of take a look at what these two teams are probably looking for to win the game. You know, Immortals is really looking for the straight-up front-to-back 5v5 kind of team fights there, where you have the established front line, your back line pumping out the damage, and you look to kind of run it down at them. You can set those fights up by sieging, you can set those fights up by doing that sort of thing. And TSM obviously is looking for more of the picks. They're looking to spread out the map, catch someone with the Ash Arrow, jump out of the bush as they did near mid lane, and get kills that way. So they are looking really for more advantageous fights in that way. And Immortals just kind of wants to smash the two teams together and look for that straight up 5v5. Even the AD carry builds suggest that, right? You have Cody-san going for a more auto attack focused build. He goes IE first instead of the Essence Reaver, so he's looking less utility and more killing frontline, because Maokai works so well with that. Maokai can hold their frontline for you, and you can kind of free fire on them, and it's a smart build because of that. I like seeing adaptations. I like seeing this kind of stuff out of new players especially.
That's one of the big parts as well, just in this season, is how much kind of respect is given to the new players by the team, how much they can play their own champions. They weren't even really pushed down too far on champions. We did see that Cody-san was given the Varus over Dardoch's jungler, which got pushed down. But still, like you said, the new build, team's okay with it. I mean, they're not going to tell them no. But you got to have confidence in that and confidence in the people you play with.
You certainly do, and it's not like a lot of these teams are trying to hide their rookies. You know, we've seen people put them out there on assassins, on big risk picks and stuff, and let them work their magic, and that's kind of, I think, what you have to do. You have to give your rookies the confidence to be able to play their game, right? You have to show them that respect and that faith that they can do what they think they can do.
We've seen it in a few teams already. C9 contracts, a few of the other players coming up as well. Acadian's been playing mighty fine.
Yeah, and even the teams, you know, where it's just new players, same kind of deal, right? You have to have that respect and that confidence in your teammates, whether they're a veteran or a rookie. If it's a new player, that has to kind of be built up. Good pick here from TSM.
Well, they look to respect and help Pobelter on this one. He does get the safety. Flame gets himself in. He is very, very tanky, and he is right on the front line. This is the fight that IMT wants. Turtle, however, getting good shots on a Dardoch. He's got to turn around, and great step back. Great kiting by TSM to turn this fight back in their favor. And now they grab a bit of brush control here. Immortals is going to try to get that wave to push. They're going to back out.
That was such nice kiting from TSM, and they started the fight out well. They got the catch onto Pobelter, but they couldn't burst them down. They couldn't land the CC and the damage they needed. So Pobelter gets out. Flame arrives with a TP. They set up their battle lines, and TSM had to kite out of there. Bjergsen and Turtle were doing a great job getting the damage in, running back and forth there, and that is what made Immortals disengage.
417 to 4...
That's triple cloud, isn't it?
402. He's flying.
These guys are going to be so fast, and this is something that kind of unlocks your split push that much more. Like, it looks like Olaf just has a permanent ghost on now. Like, you can run around the map, get catches so much more easily. You can have your guys in the side lanes, go for 1-3-1s, and it can even kind of change the win conditions you could have, because you can catch people out that much easier. Like, this is actually an insane amount of move speed.
That's why I was a little impressed, or a little interested when that third Cloud Drake came up to see, oh my gosh, it's going to happen. 3 of certain Drake can only spawn in one game, so we can't get another Cloud. And it's going to be the Elder anyways.
It's the Usain Bolt Drake, Crib. Puts you into overdrive.
Well, what a team to actually get this on. Like, you couldn't have more luck for that. You have the Storm Raiders for Pobelter, as well as the jungle. They are looking to go fast anyways.
Yeah, it's very scary for someone like Honster, who's already been caught out in the side lanes a couple times. Now, like, these guys can just zoom out of a bush. Like, Pobelter is running him down right now, you know, in bot lane, looking for this, and he's, until he gets hit, like, he has that move speed, right? So it's hard to get away.
It looks like they're giving him the room. Bjergsen should be able to take this one down. Yeah, Flame doesn't have enough vision around here to say, I can come and just stop that, because nobody's here. But he doesn't know that. Team's in mid, fending off a dark spot. Nobody's there as well. TSM is playing that one pretty smart to give Bjergsen a safe top.
Certainly. And
16's around.
Both these mid laners are getting so strong, right? They're hitting their important item break points. They both have their void staffs done. They both have 3 items. There's the flash engage on a Turtle.
Denying a little bit more of that vision. It's just such a change in the game. That used to be a dark binding from the Fog of War. Now it's a flashing Malzahar.
Olay just full commitment there onto Turtle, and now does Immortals make the risk? Do they make the call to start up the Baron? Because they can start up the Baron, they don't have to commit to killing it. They can turn on TSM if they do come. We'll see what they do.
Just on the edge here, Biofrost will be the first in to start off some pre-damage.
Sven on the side, he looks...
Sven does not get in or get it. Flame uses him to Twisted advance out. The team's gonna have to either help him or go towards Flame.
Yeah, they get out of here.
Throws that Ghost on, gets his speed reduced from Cloud Drake though. Svenskeren tries to slow it. He says, leave me team, I am gonna go down, save yourselves. And Baron now for Immortals, 31-30 in.
It's Immortals with the catch, using the Malzahar with the flash all on a Turtle. He can't get out. They get another kill on Sven. They get the Baron. Flame denying Sven that opportunity to steal. He twisted advance, locks him down on the other side of the pit, and now it's Immortals going to push through, and they should be able to threaten for an inhibitor.
Yeah. Very close. You saw the Chain of Corruptions locking on.
And that was the QSS from Bjergsen there critically, so they got that down. If he gets caught by one more CC, they could look for the kill.
Whoa, Haunter finds himself going in. They take down Pobelter. That's a lot of AoE they don't need in that fight. On TSM's side, do they chase Flame or do they go for the right side and the squishies? It's going to be a Flame chase, knowing that GA is down.
Exactly.
It's going to feel good.
That's the double benefit of killing off someone like Flame. They get the GA, Bjergsen gets another kill, and it was Turtle that nailed the arrow onto Pobelter there. That is just sloppy play from Immortals. We talked about you need to have your Olaf or your Maokai standing in front of your damage dealers, soaking those arrows. If that arrow hits Maokai, TSM can't engage because Pobelter's right there ready to deal damage. Instead, Pobelter gets tagged, Dardoch and Flame don't block for him, he goes down, full retreat for Immortals. They lose a lot.
Haunts are continuing to go in, the team right behind them, and they start to find a few kills. Seems like IMT's comp gets a little too overzealous at the front door of TSM's base. See it one more time here.
Yeah, and Pobelter is just kind of out to the side. You know, he can't be that far forward without his tanks in front of him. And he walks up, Flame and Dardoch don't block it. They're down without their damage dealer. Cody-san's Doom. Olay, you know, he's not going to do enough damage, so it's full retreat. And Flame loses GA, loses his life. And that's a lot of the power of the Baron Khan. This should have been where Immortals cracks the base, where they get their big advantage. Instead, TSM hangs around. You give them more chances to make big plays like that and come right back into it.
Now the BF sword going in for Cody-san. More damage. Gonna make himself quite big. 12 to 11 now. Kills for kills here as we go back and forth between TSM and Immortals. Immortals did come off that victory yesterday. A bit shaky. They knew their mistakes, so they're gonna come in strong today. And TSM really looking to right the ship off of what happened in their day one versus Cloud9.
TSM is actually pretty out of position here. Late bases as Pobelter's already kind of knocking at the door. They're pushing down mid lane here, and Immortals is looking to get some damage in on these turrets. They can just get the turret straight up, and that's sloppy play from TSM, and now Bjergsen gets tagged.
That QSS up again. Almost baits in Dardoch on that, but very correct in the sloppiness of leaving mid open.
I don't know
if you, not being able to clean up the bot there.
I don't know if you turn around to try to get that heal from Redemption there, because if Dardoch got tagged by the hook, oh cool, you have 300 more health. No, too bad you're dead. Like, the risk versus reward there, buddy. Keep on running.
He likes to play it risky.
Yep.
That's how Dardoch does it.
Still, they get the turret. That's great for them. So, you know, TSM kind of did stifle the Baron, but then they were caught sleeping a little bit. No one in mid lane, and Immortals just runs it straight down, cracks the inhibitor line.
Well, it's going to take time for TSM now. They got to push these wards up before they can really do anything alone. Top's going to have to be respected here for Immortals, so they'll get a little free time on that. And this breathing room here may be a kill for them, but it's just a sapling. Flame, very nicely done.
It's going to be kind of comical if Immortals gets Elder, because then all their bonuses get 50% multiplied. So think how fast they're going to be with Triple Cloud and Elder. They're just going to be zooming around everywhere.
Could be a forced fight. It is alive, and they are going to start heading down towards the bottom to get a little bit of vision to make this better.
We have to remember, TSM has no dragons, so even if they get Elder, they do not get the true damage bonus for each dragon that you have. So Immortals gets a ton from this, and TSM must contest to stop them from getting it, even though they do not get a lot. It's always a bad position that you can lock yourself into, and this is going to be a very decisive fight. You know, whoever wins this one could get Elder, and that could be the game.
They have time to play now. Waves are pushing on all sides of the map. They really don't have to worry about too much. Svenskaren's the first here in the eyes of Dardoch. He actually gets traded back a bit more damage than he's able to deliver there.
And Cody Sutton whiffs the ult there, tries to tag Svenskeren on the way out, isn't able to hit it.
Yep.
That may give them a little less confidence, and they are going to kind of back it up a bit here. Stop that posturing around the Dragon as TSM is just shoving down mid, trying to keep them away from the Elder. TSM now going to try to go back over to the Dragon Pit, really establish the vision. And this becomes this battle where one team gets vision of, Hanser going deep.
Whoa, Hanser didn't know his team was going to clear wards, possibly. A lot of miscommunication. May have had the perfect target, but they are able to recuperate. This is what TSM is known for, these late game fights, making it work when it looks like it won't. And they get one on that. Immortals still able to disengage well on that, but they lose Flame, and he just came back up.
Yeah, and he's down for 50 seconds, so now it's going to be really tough for Immortals to stop this Elder, and TSM goes right onto it. Immortals may try to look to trade for the inhibitor. They're running down, they're pinging towards that. TSM will get the Elder. Can they get back in time to defend this? And it's looking like Immortals should be able to kill the inhib. It's a question of can they get out? Because Hanser has his TP. He could look for a flank here. Will be a risky exit for Immortals, and they're going to try to go to topside. This is really smart. Yep. Such nice use of that ult.
Realm Warp question towards blue.
That is a bad TP from Hanser.
And yeah, Hanser TP's in. Actually looked like he was going to go for it with the passive home guard on, but he just wanted to clear the way.
Yeah, I think he was just like worried about the turret, but I think at this stage in the game, it's not worth your TP for that because now Flame is coming up. He has his TP. Hanser will not have one of his own to match, so Flame can kind of push in a side wave, and if Hanser does not answer that, they're going to be losing those minions. They're going to be losing that pressure, and he will not have the TP, so if he does go to answer it, Flame can TP away and look for a fight. And that seems like a very costly TP for very little from Hanser.
All right, want to see something happen from that. Usually we see these windows quite a bit. Nothing comes of it. It'll just fizzle out, or the team already had a few steps in plan, and they follow that book. Don't come up with the TP play that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I mean, that's also, when that does happen, a lot of times, it's credit to the team that has the TP advantage. Or disadvantage, rather.
Right,
because, you know, TSM is going to obviously try to play in such a way that it does not come into play, that it does not matter. But you can see Immortals is trying to force that. Maokai already in the bot lane, going to be shoving this, knowing that Hanser can't go down there to answer it. If he goes down to answer it, look at that ward in mid lane in the lane. They're going to have him TP. So they're going to try to force Baron. This is the answer. They're going to try to get the TP out of Flame this way. Risky, though, because they could get trapped in the pit.
Olay just flashed forward. His is down, so he's a bit of a target. Spell Shield is on for right now. Redemption goes down from Biofrost.
Here's the TP now.
Once again,
finally making him commit to it.
He's coming from lane, so it won't be with a home guard.
Sven is low. Good chains of corruption.
They're on to Biofrost. Nethergrass hits him. He just explodes before Nethergrass can even end. Flames, Guardian Angel is back up here along with Hanser, so they realize that in the fight. It's always this one and then back away. Both teams don't want to lose too much right now.
Look at this. Immortals is trying to stop the base of TSM while Pobelter pushes towards bottom for that wave that they have already built up. So they've delayed it somewhat, but they don't want to face check. And TSM is doing a great job in these team fights for kiting it out, but that was smart play from both sides. So TSM, we talked about the TP advantage. That's how they get rid of it. They start up the Baron. Now Immortals goes straight to it. They saw some players complete their backs. They know they may not be ready for this, but Svenskeren is here. Bjergsen is coming in, has his ultimate and the flash. Could look for a play.
Olay taken down. It's going to be Svenskeren in. It goes to Dardoch. Immortals once again grab Baron. And they are going to be able to drop a few more after that. Cody Sun comes up with a kill for himself. And now it's going to be the fight in. Dardoch doing what he can to stay alive. Flame has just about a sliver of mana, so he can't really crowd control. Cody comes back in. This is the auto attacks. If he can get them, Hanser slaps him down with the anchor, and he tosses it back over to Flame. Bjergsen trying to stay alive. The spell vamp comes through in the blue buff.
And Cody Sun didn't use his heal there. He was trying to come up big, didn't pull the heal. I'm not sure if it just came up after, but I think he should have just got out. He could have just based, but Pobelter is 1v2ing them in the base, kills a Nexus turret, kills an inhibitor. Pobelter coming up huge while they're delaying, and that's probably why they made the call for Cody Sun to get in there.
Pobe watch, they're making the call. Here he is, trying to end the game for his team. Makes it in. He's been doing work on that bot lane for a little bit. Flame had prepped that lane for so long.
And Flame's still alive. Yeah, they couldn't kill him. What even is this champion rim?
Bjergsen had to leave because he got enough mana for a sapling when he came back up from GA. What a fight.
What happens when a tree falls in the woods? You're not around to see it. Comes back to life.
No,
it's been answered.
It doesn't fall. The tree is still standing.
Yeah, I guess Bjergsen went top lane. didn't want to risk going down, but they're not able actually to kill off Flame. And that was like a 4-minute fight in the Baron pit or something. We're going to have to get a slow motion replay. Wind it back, Riv. Play-by-play that for me.
Longest cast ever. All right. 15-14, back and forth. 1 for 1, or a few others. TSM now was able to grab a few more there, obviously, but what a neck-and-neck game we have going on now between IMT and TSM.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, map pressure-wise, Immortals miles ahead. They still have all their tier 2s, and they have cracked the base, right? But TSM is getting to the point where Bjergsen is insanely strong right now. He has his death cap completed. He's going to be a monster, but there's so much map pressure in the favor of Immortals that it's tough to play around this. And Pobelter's already shoving up mid. He's trying to make people come back and deal with this, trying to make them answer the bot and the mid waves, while the rest of his team will push top, they will look for that turret, and they will try to kind of close the loop and get the last inhibitor. And Pobelter is really playing this quietly very, very well. You know, he wasn't involved in the Baron fight, but he was really the MVP of that fight, taking down the inhibitor and the Nexus turret.
The guy who plays off the ball. Sometimes you don't have your eye on him, and he's doing good things.
He's a dirty blue liner.
Sitting out there cherry picking.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Top side pressure coming in from Immortals, and Pobelter's still hanging out in the bot by himself. Looks like he has a date with the Nexus turret in just a few seconds, actually. He's going to start to route the team, actually, go for the inhibitor first. All right, depth charge onto Pobelter. Goes
now the rest
on
must
arrow. He steps up. He's going to be able to go invuln. No GA for him, though, after this. Just the Seraph's Embrace for the shield, giving the team enough time to now fully open TSM space. Svenskeren hopping around to try and get some damage fed back onto
They need to get out here, though. There's a TP from behind. This is going to be huge for TSM.
Oh, here comes Monster lumbering into the fight. Misses on Ole. Turtle inside the base. Biofrost in front of him.
On the side.
He hits him with the Cryptic Gaze on the back, and it still does a huge amount of damage. TSM has been waiting for this fight, and they break Immortals clean open. Svenskeren over the wall, the slows from the Void Spikes, and they are going to get another kill for themselves. A double for Sven. And the base loses its last Nexus turret.
TSM pulls the rabbit out of the hat. Such a nice play there. They get the hard collapse onto Pobelter, and they make the TP play, clean up the rest of the squad.
1 for 1, but that was a big one, right? That was your inhibitor turret kind of thing for their team. So the trades they're making, maybe it's a big investment.
They needed to make that play, I know. And that was very well done by them in a tough situation.
Absolutely.
They are getting very, very strong at this point. Yeah, and you can see Hanser coming in from behind, and now Immortals is like, well, we can't go that way, so they try to turn for the fight. They try to make the best of a bad situation, but Turtle kites back. Bjergsen, alt flash there, nails all the members of the team, does get the stuns, but does get the damage, and look at him just flying in, picking up multiple kills, and then Svenskeren, no way you can get away from those Void Spikes. It's an 80% slow with the evolution. That's a play was going nowhere.
It's like Turtle there in the beginning, being the first one in line, chasing them out down the lane.
That's classic Turtle. It's a Wild Turtle special.
Wild Turtle indeed.
He's a frontliner, he's an AD carry, it's an all-in-one package, Riv.
What a pickup. What a pickup. Now you just need the pentakill like you did last time, right? In that initial game. So now we're 45 minutes in. Those are the fights that TSM can make happen for it themselves. But like we said, the choices are still costing them a few things. Possibility of a comeback is still there. Immortals knocking at the door now with just the top inhibitor to take down, along with, I believe, still a damaged middle inhibitor.
Yeah.
So, and TSM here going for broke.
It's very scary for TSM. All help. I mean, they must keep winning fights. If you lose one fight, the game ends. So they need to win these fights. And Bjergsen on the side, he is spotted by this ward, doesn't know it just yet. Was looking to try to create a pick onto Pobelter there, but now Immortals pushes in. Oh, Monster's looking.
Bjergsen making sure to clear the wave. Knows he can come in a little bit late and still affect the fight at 7, 1, and 9. Playing huge from the mid lane in this game to keep the team in it. Hanser, consistent initiations to just kind of deter Immortals here.
And Bjergsen has to run to the bot side to clear out that wave.
Top and bot. But so much work.
All the inhibitors are back now, so the waves won't just naturally push to TSM anymore because the super minions are not going to be spawning. So TSM kind of has weathered the storm somewhat. There's still always a threat. One bad fight, you lose the game. Immortals has more room to work with because they have multiple lines of turrets up. But when you get to the 50-minute stages, if they lose a really bad fight, they can just walk up mid and kill everything, which is a horrible feeling when you're this far ahead for so long.
as well. That's a question too, is where is the closeout here? Props to TSM as well for putting up a huge wall to stop Immortals from getting anywhere close after inhibitor turrets. But
it feels like
where's that close?
Who blinks first? Who makes the first mistake, right? And, you know, if someone gets caught, if we see a flash ulti from Olay or Cody Sun nailing an ulti, something like that, or on the other side, Turtle hitting an ultimate, you know, they can go for kills like that, but Immortals still does have the win condition of the Elder Dragon, right? And the Elder Dragon's going to be up in 50. There's risk for TSM to go out on the map and contest these because someone from Immortals can just walk into your base and kill off your inhibitors.
15 on Baron as well. Elder pretty big in this sense, so we'll just see maybe a little jockeying around this. They'll work their way down river and actually fight for Elder. Good dodge out.
Field goal.
Yeah.
It's good.
Flame's waiting about maybe 30, 40 seconds on his flash to come back up, as well as a teleport for Haunter, so maybe they're just kind of giving themselves a little room.
Yeah, and you can see pings to the top lane. Pobelter, you know, wants to move over there, get that lane shoving. They want to create the wave-mating pressure, get TSM to respond to this, then move quickly towards the Baron or something. But Pobelter may be caught out here, may have bitten off more than he can chew. Immortals is rushing Baron.
So he doesn't get knocked up. It's going to take him a little bit more time, but this is close. Turtle has no arrow to fire through. They can see it maybe through the Hawk shot. Bjergsen uses the Quicksilver, gets silenced after that. Very nicely done. They're going to stay in the pit. Again, Dardoch grabs the competition, and they're going to get out a few. Flame's going to be staying in. The team is running. They need this Baron. It's going to be huge to play the lane.
That is so bad for Flame. He actually fail flashed into the wall there, couldn't get out, gives up his life and the GA, and it's going to be a massive respawn timer, almost 70 seconds.
Wow.
But Immortals is trying to rush down, three-man the Elder Dragon, which TSM is not expecting this. They're not expecting this at all.
Sven might be. He's making his way down the river as fast as possible. 47 HP. They've already done half, and he's halfway there. They're going to be able to tear this thing apart.
Well, Immortals takes the objectives off the map, but with Flame down, it is tough. And these are some risky calls that are being made. Pobelter had already been taken out. Sven Skaren does not land the smite. Too early there. Not timed with his Q. He might have been able to get it, but Dardoch coming through clutch, because if that went the way of TSM, it could have meant the game. So still big time play there from Dardoch to nail that, but Flame gives away a lot more than they would have liked to.
Fights valiantly for the Elder.
Well, once again,
shiny Immortals making their way down mid lane. They actually don't have Rise or Flame, or I'm sorry, Rise or Flame, Pobelter or Flame with that Baron on. So the side lanes probably just gonna have to run it together, but that's not a problem when the whole base is open.
They really would like to push and get their fight with the Elder Dragon buff.
Yeah.
This true damage burn is so massive in taking out these fights, and they want to get out there. Flame has his TP. Pobelter's pushing down on the bot side, and they want to move this four-man squad immediately in and look for a fight before it expires. TSM would love to delay this and really look to avoid a fight while Elder Dragon is active. So that's what the two teams are trying to do here.
Drop portal paced out in the bot lane here by Haunter. Hopefully they can fight against the minion waves a little bit more. Control wards being placed all over now. We may not even have room in the inventories for those, but a few are getting placed out as they look to pressure mid first and open that up.
And look at this 6-item build from Cody Sun. He's even sold up his boots, so he has the Essence Reaver, he has QSS, he has 80% crit, and he has the Elder. So at this point, Varus Qs are going to do so much of your life, especially if you are a squishy guy. You can really get chunked down by that pretty easily. And well, I don't even know if you want that on Dardoch, even if you hit him. They did get Zonias from Pobelter, though, in the background there. I'm not sure if that was a panic one or what that was, but Immortals closing in on both sides. We'll see if they can get it.
Dardoch feeling pretty good about the situation now in the bot. Team's got half health on that mid lane with a siege minion.
Elder almost expiring.
Elder's almost about to expire, so they want to kind of put their foot down here. Mid gets taken down, they get a little bit out of it, but TSM's holding quite nicely.
They are, and I mean, they're giving up not too much, right? They're only giving up the one inhibitor. They want to probably fight for the second. You don't want to give this one up for free with no turrets left on the map. Bjergsen's going to heal up. They're going to come back out, and they will look to fight at this inhibitor. I don't think you could afford to give up two in this stage of the game.
Cody Sun's hovering top side. That actually could clip him on an Ash Arrow. It's up in about 10 seconds. He puts himself now to the back line. Much better positioning. And Turtle looking for an arrow. They find Dardoch. Can they burn him down? No ult on the Ragnarok. One more hit. The poison's ticking. He's getting out with the heal. He's going to stay alive. They can't get him. Now Immortals has the chance to focus, but Flame gets taken down. The GA's gone from the failed flash.
Bjergsen's
Monster
crushing
gets
everyone.
another shield as Bjergsen can stay on the back line and just fang the pain in to the entire Immortals squad. Dardoch in the middle here is the one that could go down. He's going to keep running. Olay heads bot. What can TSM do after this?
And they can look to push. They can look to try to run all the way down and see what they can get done. But look at Immortals ulting into the base. They're going to go.
They're going to go.
They're going to get this. The Turtle is back. Turtle's back.
He should be able to do it. Look, Bjergsen doesn't even look phased right now. Turtle tries to get the hit. Sends Garen back as well. Dardoch very low health, so he's got the fast out. They're able to cancel it.
TSM can go down mid. They can look to try to get something done. They're TPing top lane as they already have minions there. Haunter is going to try to knock down at least this turn. We'll see how fast TSM can get up and if they can look to end the game.
Oh, he might be out.
The respawns are so long.
This could be it. This is what happens when you get 50 minutes. All 5 members drop, and it can be a coast-to-coast race for the opposing team, and that's TSM right now. They're going to go top lane. It's already open, and they will try to end this. It'll be Flame up, but he's going to go down just as fast with probably Cody's son and the likes of Olay just after.
Yeah, and I think this is game, Riv. I don't think there's anything they can do. Bjergsen and Wild Turtle have arrived. The first Nexus turret is down. Cody's son's about to respond, but it's going to be a 2v5. They must try to fight right now.
Second Nexus turret goes down. The 80 carries left. Cody's son is there. The Nexus is down. TSM with the comeback victory in game 1 of the series.
And what a game it was. Immortals makes the risky call. They go for the back door, but Turtle was already there, shuts them down, and TSM walks it down, ends the game. What a comeback. What a game to start this series off.
See, Pobelter actually headsets on, was just communicating with the team there before they depart from the stage to discuss this. Before the second game of the series, and what a game that was to be in full control with turrets down, winning those fights pretty handily. And to be stalled out, not being able to find that solution is so frustrating in a game.
I just felt like TSM played those team fights so well. I would have thought that having the Maokai would lend you that advantage in the front-to-back team fights, but Turtle and Bjergsen were kiting back and forth so well, getting so much damage out that it felt like Immortals could never crack the front line and kind of get through to really deal those killing blows. And TSM just hung around for so long. They kept winning fights at their base.
Yep.
And then when you're 50 minutes into the game, one fight, doesn't matter that you hadn't killed any of those turrets. They just end the game.
It continued to happen. There was a 32-minute one and then a 40, and then obviously the 52:03 that ended it in 10, 1, and 11. Bjergsen, who was hit up in that mid lane very early, kept himself safe and helped to carry the team. Now for a deeper dive into that tight game, let's send it over to our analyst desk.
Thank you very much. We have a very back and forth game between Immortals and TSM. TSM coming out on top here, but it didn't look pretty for either team. And in particular, in the draft, Immortals, obviously a bit of a communication error. We heard from Jat some of that insight from Hermes around the, still working through communication issues with Olay, missing a ban there, intended to be Nautilus in ban phase 2. Let's talk about that miss ban.
Yeah, and I think it's the kind of thing where when you look at it, it could have been very important to either get a better topside matchup or a better jungle matchup, because you assume that either TSM changes the Rek'Sai ban there to ban out the Maokai and stop Flame from getting that, or they keep the Rek'Sai ban, but then you don't have to play against the Nautilus, you're playing against a Shen, or a little weaker of a tank. So in that sense, it is very painful to lose that ban.
And changing up the tank that you're playing against, the front line that you're playing against, is so important, because so many of these team fights, you have to work through the front line. And if you're already going this far down the tier, then you turn into things like Shen and Singe, which are more split pushy, much less of a secure front line like Nautilus, or is going something like carry, and it completely changes the face of the game where he has to split push.
Absolutely, and I want to return to something we talked about a little bit yesterday, Mark, in Dardoch as a player, where he's a very explosive player, right? He's the kind of guy who can be aggressive, akin to Acadian, getting lots of first bloods, and really accelerate the pace of a game and get his team ahead. At the same time, we can see errors kind of riddled in between some of these good decisions.
Right, so this is a great regank on the top side. They are able to TP back in with Flame getting there first, keeps Monster under turret, they dive. Here, he gets a great chase down kill onto Bjergsen. Everything's looking great. Dardoch's popping off, good mechanics.
Filled with confidence.
Oh yeah, great play out of Dardoch, and you're like, this guy's going nuts, and then you see stuff like this where the dive, they're switching targets, you have no idea who they really want to go on, and then they're going to get collapsed on and ultimately feed back a bunch of kills.
Yeah, and in this one, he actually ends up picking up the rest of the kills. But to me, the big one, I think it was a little bit before this, was again around mid lane, where he tries to repeat and gank the mid lane again. 1v3 versus a Kha'Zix and Cassiopeia. And just gets blown up completely. I thought that clip really showed the overconfidence where he's like, yeah, we got him on the run, but suddenly you get two-shot by Kha'Zix, and there's a reason that champion is so highly prized.
Yeah, and if you want a fun stat, he had 200% kill participation in a sense where every single kill for the first 23 minutes of the game revolved around him. All TSM kills were involved in the Dardoch play, all Immortals kills, same way.
Yeah, he was involved in every fight that netted a kill or death for either team up to that point. And this is the thing, is like, I love aggression out of players, but it's got to come with crispness, because aggression, unbridled aggression, is where those plays get turned on you. Exactly. And that's kind of why I think, to a degree, this game was kept as close as it was for so long, and TSM wasn't in such a drastic hole that they couldn't climb out of.
Right, and I think a good play to look at is that 23-minute thing that we were talking about, where Dardoch and Pobelter are making a play on the bot side of the map, and out of nowhere, Flame takes a W in to start a fight on the top side with little vision. Like, best case scenario, that's not a 4v3 and you maybe get a pick, but then they end up feeding a bunch of kills, giving TSM the momentum back. Yeah, there were a bunch of opportunities that we could cherry pick, but even the way the game ended, right? They make this call to try and rush towards the Nexus while there are recalls going on, and man, this let's get a refresh on that, because as it was a long game with plenty of fights, let's take a look at the final one here. This is taking place in the bot lane, and then of course Immortals is going to take a final stab at backdooring the Nexus before losing the game. Right, the thing about this team fight is that there are a lot of resources down on the side of Immortals. Flames GA has still been popped. Dardoch doesn't have his ult here, so he's just running slowly away, barely staying alive, and there's so many things being used by Immortals to keep Dardoch alive. They're not actually able to frontline correctly, which gives TSM a pretty free chase down over the course of this fight. They're able to finish off Cody's son. They're going to spend a lot of time chasing Ole, and that's where you're going to see Pobelter and Dardoch make the split-second decision to turn around and actually try and backdoor end the game. Yeah, and every second matters when you're trying to do that. Remember that hawk shot that was just shot over there? That's why they couldn't immediately, make that call, but there they go, try and get inside the base, and the recalls were instantly started after they killed Ale, so no trick there for TSM, and they do get it. I have to say though, Turtle's flash right there was pretty necessary. He almost went down, and maybe with one less person, something changes, but yeah, not really. After you make that call to go for the Nexus, that's a do or die. Exactly, and Mark, these decisions that Immortals are making feel very split second. It doesn't feel like any decisions are made 3 minutes in advance, and now let's play this out one step at a time. That was a reactionary decision to try and extend the game and or end it. Yeah, and we see that, all game long, and they talked about communication issues they're having with Ale, and they haven't even been able to play with him. He was one of the last members to arrive. That's where most of your vision does come from, and to make decisions ahead of time, you need vision ahead of time, and that's probably one of the things that they're missing, not to mention, working with all these new members and the language. The one nice thing I'll say about it is it's good to see that they do have decisive shot calling in that sense, where when they get in these kind of scrappy situations, they are proactive. They're not like completely panicking. They're on the same page. It's just not necessarily good calls, and we don't see the basic standard setup calls. Right. I think I'd rather be in a 50+ minute game where we're constantly making decisive calls than be in one where we're just happy farming and not doing anything and taking no opportunities to win. I do want to transition though over to TSM, in particular talk about Bjergsen, who's going to receive player of the game. An impressive scoreline on Cassiopeia for what was a very bloody game. Only one death coming out for him. Yeah, he also had some key ultimates on Cassiopeia where he was able to win team fights for the team, flashing in with that. But honestly, TSM did not look what you really want to see from the team either. So I don't think they come out of this one super excited, and filled with confidence. We'll see about the next game in the series though, because there's definitely work for both teams, and it was close. Right? I mean, the one thing you have to say is you have Bjergsen looking on point again, as opposed to how he looked in the game on Friday versus C9. This is a step in the right direction, but we just need to see the rest of the team kind of start gelling around him more. Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll see if TSM can carry this momentum into Game 2 or if Immortals can bounce back. We'll be back in just a bit.
It's like we're an orc army. Orc on 3! Hey,
you know that's lizard, right?
It's not ogre yet.
Ragnarok is on. One more undertow is going to bring him in range. Oh, he turns it as the Ragnarok wears off. Dardoch gets his buff back, but I don't think it'll happen for very long. Undertow hits, and nobody's going to get these ones. No, it's the hit on Turtle. He may live. Turtle flashes forward to clean it up, and the buffs keep going.
All right, Cass is reacting.
Oh, he's slow,
Got him.
He's slow. Keep going.
I healed you. I cannot follow.
Oh, Ali leaves Cody-san out to dry for a quick second. And now it's going to be Ale too because he stayed.
We're going! Slowly. Chase slowly.
I'm
going around.
They're turning.
Turtle inside the base. Biofrost in front of him.
on the side.
He hits him with the cryptic gaze on the back, and it still does a huge amount of damage. The poison's ticking. He's getting out with the heal. He's gonna stay alive. They can't get him. Now Immortals has the chance to focus, but Flame gets taken down. The GA's gone from the failed flash.
Bjergsen's crushing
gets
everyone.
another shield as Bjergsen can stay on the back line and just fang the pain in to the entire Immortal squad. The Nexus is down.